Hi, this is Renata. I was talking with someone recently about blacklisting. She thought that blacklisting only affected entertainers, either people who were actors or actresses or singers or someone in the entertainment field. I was explaining to her that blacklisting, while yes, it is true that the term was probably made more famous by Hollywood and the people who can't seem to get jobs there because maybe they cross someone or someone doesn't like them, so they can't find jobs. And it happens a lot actually in Black Hollywood, but with other nationalities as well. But I was explaining to her that blacklisting is not just exclusive to Hollywood. It happens to everyday people as well, and almost guaranteed that blacklisting will happen to the targeted individual. So yeah, you will hear about it a lot with Hollywood. Most recently, the comedian Monique. Now Monique has an Oscar. She's a pretty good actress. She started out stand-up comedy, and she went on to do movies. I think she got her Oscar from the movie Precious, which she really did do an outstanding performance. But she said that she noticed shortly after her Oscar, instead of making more money, the few offers that she did get after her Oscar, they would only offer her $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000, and that was her indication that something wasn't right. So she spoke with the person who she was normally in contact with, and he told her that she's blacklisted because in their opinion, she is a difficult person. At least this is what she said in the interviews that I saw. And so she has been having a really, really hard time finding work when she should be working nonstop because of her Oscar. So blacklisting definitely does happen in Hollywood, and there are many other examples of the Hollywood people and singers as well who have been blacklisted. But it happens here too. Actually, I have met a couple of TIs who were in the music industry, and they too felt that they were blacklisted. And there's a couple of them who were not only in music but were actors or actresses, and they felt blacklisted as well. So we know that it happens there, but it happens in other areas too. It happens a lot with union people. I was watching a video about bricklayers and electricians and engineers and construction workers, and a lot of union people complain of blacklisting. Nurses, teachers, people in those type of industries too. But these bricklayers, they were saying that the union they worked for was very corrupt. And they said that they were so corrupt that some of the union leaders were working with the police to wiretap things that they were saying to try to set them up, to try to get anything they could on them. And they said that several of them were jailed. A few of them came up mysteriously dead. And these particular people were saying it was mainly because they blew the whistle on bad working conditions, or they stood up to the boss, or they wanted more money, or whatever their complaint was, got them blacklisted. And they said that a lot of times if they would get jobs, they would only get the very short-term jobs, and then they'd be let go a few days later. So that's blacklisting. These people knew that they were on some sort of list. They couldn't confirm it, but they knew that they were. In this community, it's the same type of thing. We call it a smear campaign. where our name and our reputation has been smeared, but it's the same as blacklisting. And it can and it does happen to most TIs. I mean, if you think about it, why do you think most TIs, at least the majority of them that I know, don't work? It's not really because they don't want to work, but they've been blacklisted. Quite a few TIs were thriving. They had wonderful careers, highly educated people. And then something happened. Once they began to get targeted, something extreme happened to get them out of their job. Some kind of convenient layoff happened where they got laid off, or some sort of setup to get them out of their job. And then most of them can't find work. Very qualified people. Spent years of training, have degrees, have experience, but have a horrible, very hard time finding work. That's because most TIs are put on some sort of blacklist. And it's all based on lies. You know, their reputations are ruined. And they just get harassed out of their job. And then they can't find another one. Or if they do find another one, it's not their desired field, or the field that they may have worked so hard to learn or to go to school for and to pay student loans back for. You know, so some people do find other jobs, but then they end up settling for a whole lot less money, which means they can barely pay their bills, you know, and get a decent place to stay and things like that. So all of that is blacklisting. Some people just never find another job at all, so they just give up. Or you get harassed so bad when you're at work that you don't want to deal with that. And you can tell that no one wants to hire you. You know, it gets discouraging after a while. It really does get discouraging. But the work thing, that's mainly where you will see the blacklisting, but that's not the only form of blacklisting, because you could be denied. If you're denied privileges, a particular privilege, or different services, or even recognition that's due to you, that could be blacklisting. If you're ostracized from certain social circles, if you may need an apartment, and you know you qualify for an apartment, you have the money, you have the first, you have the last, you have all the moving fees, you have everything, but you can't get the apartment. You can't even live where you want to live. That could be because you've been blacklisted. Could be, not necessarily so, but I'm telling you, this is a lot of reasons why people are not getting the things they need in the targeted individual community, because they're on that list. And it's all blacklisting. There's so many people in the TI community that can't get the medication that they need. They can't get things for their children that they need. You may want to go to a particular restaurant and you get treated any kind of way. A store, you get treated any kind of way. You might want to join the PTA at your child's school. You might want to join a golf club or something. Any kind of organization. And all you get is the runaround. People won't return phone calls. You can't seem to get information you need. Everything becomes so much harder when you're targeted. It's all blacklisting. The Intercept, another example of blacklisting. The Intercept, I think it was about a year ago, they put out an article and it was titled The Blacklist. And it talked about how the Obama administration created a list that labeled people as terrorists. And these people are on this on this watch list and they can't even travel. That's a service that's denied them. No proof. No proof. The article was saying that they don't even necessarily have proof. Just a reasonable suspicion. And these people can't travel. Now, what if you travel for your job, but you're on that list? Then there goes your job. What if you have a ill family member somewhere and you need to fly there? You can't do it. What if you just want to go on vacation? That's a freedom that has been removed because you're on a blacklist. So this whole blacklisting thing, this is something that as targeted people that we really should think about, because Loren Murray, if you haven't checked out her videos, you really should, because she has some really good information. She's an independent scientist who is blacklisted and targeted. She lives in the San Francisco Bay Area. And she talks about some of this stuff. She said, I remember seeing a video where she said that once these, what she calls New World Order cities, once they're created, you know, when they go to this whole New World Order thing, she says once they're created, certain people who are on these lists, she didn't call it a blacklist, but she called it a list, will not be able to go out of certain areas. So if you need to travel to your doctor across a bridge or 10 or 15 miles away, or your children's school is 10 or 15 miles away, or for whatever reason, you just may not be able to do that anymore. According to her, and I'm not sure where she got her research from, but I know that she is a very well researched person. But according to her, even certain parks, lakes, rivers, amusement parks will be off limits to certain people. So I'm assuming these people that this stuff will be off limits to will be people on the blacklist. And so it's important to keep up on this stuff by all these different people who are putting things out, because we as TIs, we need to have a plan. We need to have a plan for how we're going to handle this kind of stuff, because unfortunately, just about every service we need is in these people's control. So if you are not even going to be allowed to go and get the things you need, your medication, your food, your things you need for survival, that can be a problem. And I mean, there's so many lists now. There's so many lists. You don't even know which list you're on at this point because there's so many. But a lot of these lists are blacklists. And when you're targeted, things that other people don't have any problem getting access to, it's just not that easy for a blacklisted person. And that's just a reality for most targeted individuals. The whole thing is just another covert action against the TI. It's very much a conspiracy that really can destroy a person's life and prevent them from getting the things that they need. Not to mention all the stress and harassment that a lot of TIs go through to try to get just regular everyday things. But at some point, you kind of just know that you're on some sort of blacklist. And so that's what I was trying to explain to my friend, that blacklisting is not just a Hollywood thing. It's not. Everyday people who are not famous, who just want to be private citizens, are on blacklists. And it's very, very obvious. If you're on one, you know you're on one, because it's very obvious by the way you're treated. But I say, if you need something, don't give up. Don't give up on the things you need, because you deserve it. You're entitled to it. Whether they want you to think you're not, you are or not, you are entitled to the things that you need. You just probably have to be a little more persistent You may have to ask to speak to supervisors. You may have to write letters. You probably have to go the extra mile to get some of the things that you need, because they will give blacklisted people a hard time. But just stick with it to get the things that you deserve. That's all I wanted to say about that. I just wanted to, after I had that conversation, I just was wondering how many people thought that blacklisting was just exclusive to Hollywood, because it's not. Every TI will tell you that we pretty much know we're on somebody's blacklist. Also, check out that article that I briefly referred to on The Intercept. That's the name of the website, The Intercept. And it's called The Blacklist. You probably have already seen it by now, because it's probably more than a year old at this point. But it's a good, important article. Okay. Thank you.